The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions, defeating the Kansas City Chiefs 40-22. I was hoping for a scoregami in all honesty, but Mahomes had to throw some crunch time points at us towards the end there. Well, it would have been 40-12 as a scoregami. That did not happen. 40-22 ended up being the final, but that's okay nevertheless. It was a great football game, honestly, from start to finish. I know a lot of us in America are rooting for the Philadelphia Eagles to topple the Kansas City Chiefs just because we're so sick of KC. I'm one of those people as well, so I'm very happy that Philadelphia ended up winning over Kansas City. Jalen Hurts put on one hell of a performance tonight. He did get the MVP. I think you could make a case Saquon Barkley deserved it. He didn't necessarily run the football very well, but man, he caught some really important catches tonight, including a really spectacular one where he fell on his back and he bobbled the pass a little bit in the air and then grabbed it back to reel it in. Great catch from Saquon Barkley. You got to give credit to Cooper DeJean too. It's his birthday and he gets a pick six. It's pretty special for him. And that's going to be a great memory for Cooper DeJean to have a pick six on his birthday in the Super Bowl in a game where the Philadelphia Eagles ended up defeating Kansas City 40-22. You stopped the juggernaut is what you did if you're the Philadelphia Eagles. And Kansas City, they're not going to be in position to three-peat for a while now. They got to win two more in a row in order to do so. So Kansas City's reign of terror is now put on pause. Having said that, it's now the NFL offseason. Kansas City's going to retool, regroup, and they're going to be the same Kansas City Chiefs we know them to be in 2025 as well. So that's going to be really important for Kansas City to just recoup and get back to their winning ways, which they can do. But I will say this Super Bowl loss puts a big dent in Patrick Mahomes' legacy if he's trying to chase Tom Brady, because we're getting to a position where he might be trying to chase Tom Brady. But I'll tell you what, Tom Brady never got blown out in the Super Bowl. Sure, he lost to Eli Manning twice, 17-14, 21-17 in those Super Bowls. They were not blown out. Those were games all the way from start to finish. So Tom Brady did not get blown out by anybody in the Super Bowl. And then you look at the Philadelphia Super Bowl a few years back that he lost, 41-33. The Eagles defeated the New England Patriots, and it wasn't a blowout. So Philadelphia's offense was on fire that whole game, but it was still an 8-point game by the end of it. So, yeah, I think Tom Brady's legacy as the GOAT is very much safe because of this one. And he was one of the commentators of today's game, of course, for Fox with Kevin Burkhardt. So Tom Brady's legacy is safe. And I think it's going to put a dent in Patrick Mahomes' legacy if he does go on to win 6 or 7 Super Bowls. Because, you know what? You just don't get blown out in Super Bowls like this. Patrick Mahomes got blown out by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers a few years ago, and now he just got blown out by the Philadelphia Eagles. And they barely beat the Philadelphia Eagles 2 years ago as well, and they just slid by the San Francisco 49ers last year too. Close games, close football games, and really you could make a case that Kansas City's offense isn't really the reason Mahomes' clutchness has been there the whole time, absolutely. But when you look at Kansas City as a whole, their defense has really been what's been getting the job done for them the last couple of years. They're playing a lot of close football games. And this year, I think the NFL's not thrilled that Kansas City didn't win it, but Philadelphia made it too big for the officiating to really kick in and take over this game. And you look at that bogus call that happened at the very beginning of the game, which was blatant. A.J. Brown called for offensive pass interference. That should have been a no call, a ridiculous call. He did have hands to the face a little bit there, but that was not pass interference whatsoever. So I thought that call was ridiculous. Turns out for the Eagles, it didn't matter anyway, but still, there was definitely some favoritism, I think, for the Chiefs from the NFL a little bit. Not going to say officiating was going to be a big factor in this game, nevertheless, but clearly, there's no Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift hype again at the end of this one. Mahomes getting blown out again. Kansas City going back to the locker room. I think this also stings Andy Reid's legacy a little bit because he had the honor of beating the team that fired him in the Super Bowl 2 years ago. And that team just came back and destroyed his team. So now if you're Jeffrey Lurie, you kind of get a little bit of payback there with that Andy Reid situation there. In terms of organizations, I don't know if there's really any beef with that. I know Andy Reid was fired in 2012. Andy Reid's won 3 Super Bowls. And now Jeffrey Lurie has 2 in his disposal with Philadelphia. But Andy Reid's in a position where he's chasing Bill Belichick now. And you can make an argument if Andy Reid were to win 6 or 7 Super Bowls, he may be a better head coach than Bill Belichick because he's had so much sustained success outside of Patrick Mahomes. But having said that, that's the situation now for the Kansas City Chiefs. As I said, they're going to probably recover from this and be a contender for a long time. They have Mahomes locked up. He's only 30, for heaven's sake. I mean, he's going to be fine. The Kansas City Chiefs will be fine in the long term. You still love to hate them. I mean, honestly, they're a hateable team. They've put a big target on their back in terms of the sights of everyone, and I think that's going to be a big thing for Kansas City moving forward, and so is Philadelphia to a degree. I know a lot of us aren't a big fan of their fan base. I'm not a fan of Eagles fans, but I'm glad Philadelphia won this game over Kansas City. It really was a great game from start to finish. Jalen Hurts is underrated. I really think he was tremendous tonight. He deserves a lot more props than he's been given, I think, the last couple of seasons. I know Philadelphia last year had a rough end, but they were 10-1 or something, and then they went 11-6. And lost the playoff game to Tampa Bay. But they came back and won the Super Bowl this year. And that goes for Nick Sirianni as well. And last year was the defense, too. The defense was lights out today. But Nick Sirianni, he's gotten a lot of pushback over the last couple seasons as well. And people in Philadelphia were calling for his job last year, despite an 11-6 season and one playoff loss. He just took you to the Super Bowl and won it. So I hope nobody in Philadelphia is calling for Nick Sirianni's job going forward. He's a tremendous head football coach. And yes, there was a lot of criticism he received when he got the job with the Philadelphia Eagles for his opening press conference, which leads me to believe, we look at Dan Campbell too and Nick Sirianni. Nick Sirianni's a Super Bowl champion, and Dan Campbell has turned the entire Detroit Lions franchise around. Those are two successful head coaches, and their press conferences didn't go as planned. And that leads me to believe Liam Cohen's going to have a successful career with the Jacksonville Jaguars, but that's for another video. I think Nick Sirianni deserves absolutely no pushback after winning this Super Bowl. And if you're a Philadelphia Eagle fan, you should be eating crow right now if you did give him any pushback. He just led you to a Super Bowl championship. He's a tremendous head coach and has done a tremendous job. The Eagles are Super Bowl champions. I'm happy for the Eagles organization. I'm not a huge fan of the fan base, and, the teams we love to hate. We love to hate the Philadelphia Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs, Kansas City especially. But Philadelphia taking home the Lombardi Trophy, a good revenge match for them as well. We're going to have to see what happens in 2025. I think we're going to see some really interesting off seasons, especially from the contenders. I want to see what kind of off season Kansas City has. Are they going to play a run for Myles Garrett? Because they really weren't able to pressure too much from the outside with Jalen Hurts in the pocket. I mean, Jalen Hurts in the pocket was pretty good tonight. There was some plays where Kansas City's defensive line really got the job done. Chris Jones got a little banged up in the game, but overall he brought some pressure. George Karlaftis brought some pressure. Kansas City's defense brought some pressure tonight, but still Philadelphia was just too much to handle. And Mahomes made some crucial mistakes in this game. And as I said, because of Mahomes' shortcomings in these two Super Bowls, it's going to be hard to compare him to Tom Brady ever again, in my honest view. If they would have three-peated, I think the case would be made that Mahomes is chasing Tom Brady, but I think he's still maybe chasing him in terms of numbers, but I don't think we're going to look at Mahomes' career when it is all said and done, how many years down the line it is, that he's going to end up having the same resume Tom Brady does. But that conversation may continue, and as I said, Kansas City will remain a contender. But congratulations to the Philadelphia Eagles. Jalen Hurts is the Super Bowl MVP. Nick Sirianni doing a tremendous job. Saquon Barkley, not from the rushing side, but from the pass-catching side, he was tremendous. It was a good game. And Cooper DeJean, also probably a borderline case for MVP. That was a really awesome pick six he got on his birthday, for crying out loud. Good game for the Philadelphia Eagles. And we're going to have to see. It's a wrap on the NFL season. It's going to be all basketball coming forward here on Raw Takes with Andrew Hody. And we're going to have a baseball pregame show here soon as well. Or I should say preseason when spring training starts. We're going to focus in on the baseball season, do a little bit of a preview show about all 30 teams. We'll get into that when it comes up. But we're going to go all in on basketball. We got March Madness coming up. We have the NBA season. My Cleveland Cavaliers are really hot right now. And, you look at Anthony Davis, big news there. He is going to be out indefinitely for the Dallas Mavericks. So what did they really get in the trade now? Even more is going to be something we talk about on Raw Takes later this week. So stay tuned for that. Just stay tuned to Raw Takes with Andrew Hody and keep loving the sports. It was a great Super Bowl. It really was. So congrats to the Philadelphia Eagles, and we'll go from there. Thank you for tuning in to Short Take Weekend, and we look forward to seeing you on Raw Takes with Andrew Hody later this week. Have a good one, everybody.